Hi, this is Wishop, and this is a mostly Lenormand reading, but I will also have a tarot and oracle card in here for the new moon in Gemini on June 4th. So this new moon happens to occur right in the middle of a huge mutable square, which means that there are lots of planets sitting out there in the mutable signs of the zodiac, which include Gemini and Virgo and Pisces and Sagittarius. So you probably know we have cardinal signs that start the seasons of the year, start the seasons of the zodiac, and then we have fixed signs, which are really the full development of the character of those seasons or times of year or states. And then we have the mutable signs, which sort of adapt and change on their way out the door of these seasons. So Gemini marks the end of spring and the moving into summer, which we will enter in Cancer. So we've got planets all over the place in mutable signs. So Saturn is currently in Sagittarius, and it's going to be sort of facing off at right angles, at 45 and 90 degree angles with Jupiter, which is in Virgo, with the Sun, which is in Gemini, along with the Moon, and also Venus is right there with them. And then there is Neptune in Pisces. So even someone who's not a professional astrologer like me can see this huge pattern. So what does it mean? I believe that the mutable signs are going to represent a kind of negotiation. As we have gotten rid of so many things, many of us have, we've moved past, we've said goodbye to, we've cut things off, and we've decided some of the new things we'd like to see. And we've been making the beginning steps toward them. And now we're getting feedback from the people in our lives, the circumstances in our lives about, hey, you're doing this new thing and I'm not sure it really works for me. Or maybe you've tried this new thing and you're not sure it's really working yet. The negotiation that I think we're going to be going through is about creating that win-win. It really is about that sort of diplomacy. Gemini is a big talker. We've got Venus there, so we're going to be talking about the things we love and the things we're passionate about, the things we care about. But Jupiter in Virgo is going to be like, okay, you want to expand in that area. What are you going to do about it? And Saturn in Sagittarius says it can't just all be pie in the sky. We've got to get concrete about this and make some decisions. So I think what's happening is, as we're moving forward into all these new things, we're finding ourselves in new negotiations that we were never in before because we've made new identities for ourselves and new relationships. We've struck out into new endeavors. So I thought I would do this Lenormand reading to talk about what are practical things that we can pay attention to in the various areas of life. This is my version. This is my take on a 5-card Lenormand reading, and you'll see it actually includes extra cards. It's just my version of it, but it works for me. I use it a lot in my personal readings for myself, so I thought maybe you would like it too. So here's the central card. Man. Okay. So because this is a general reading for lots of people, this central card can represent a man, but it is most likely representing that Mars energy, that go-getting energy, the energy that wants to do things, that wants to make forward movement. So let's look at the other cards here. Ring, which is also Taurus. Birds, which is also Uranus. Okay, so this is actually kind of great. And you see we end up, because of the design of these cards, this is the alternate realities, Lenormand. We have these sort of birds on both sides. A ring is a commitment. This is a commitment you've made probably to new action. You've made a commitment to a new direction. We see that symbol. Made a commitment to a new direction. It could be a new person you've committed to. This could be a boss, a partner, a lover. It could be a commitment. Maybe you got a new pet, and this represents the commitment. But what's happening is, with the birds, we have negotiation. We have conversation. We have activity. And in the best form of the birds, this activity and conversation provides good information, provides food for thought, can be nourishing, can be uplifting and fun. The birds at the worst can be anxiety making. It can be this frenzy of activity just for activity's sake. Things can just feel like they're flying a million different places at once and you're not getting anywhere. So I think part of this is very much a reflection of that energy. So let's talk about what this could mean in different situations. If this were in a work or vocational situation, I would say you've made a commitment to a new direction, but you need to continue having conversations with people about what you're doing, but you need to be careful you're not having tons and tons of chatter with people who may not be productive. Make sure that these conversations are productive and are helpful. And if there are people who are not particularly helpful or who sort of stir up your anxiety, just be mindful of that. Also, because the birds are tied with the planet of Uranus, that can be a planet of surprises. So these conversations could yield information that causes you to adjust your direction. And actually, ideally, that's what you want to do. Right now, we're in the mutable square, right? So this will be a great time to make adaptations, to make new plans, to change your strategy slightly, provided that you have the right information. And because the sun is going to be in Gemini, the moon's going to be in Gemini, conversations are really where that's going to be at. But because Gemini can also be a sign of performing, it can also be a sign of, it's ruled by Mercury, it can be kind of a busy sign. This is just where you want to make sure you're at productive activity, but you're not wearing yourself out in useless worry or useless anxiety. And when you do that, you want to think back to this commitment. That's Taurus, right? That's fixed energy. Think back to that commitment, the solidity of your commitment. Don't, if you find yourself worrying about the future, instead of being constructive towards it. So what I do is I add the pips to get a card below for circumstances. I add the numbers to get a card above for kind of an overarching energy. So the ace is 1, the ace is 1, then we have 7, so that makes 9. So the card number 9. I also usually have an extra Lenormand deck around so that I can, if I end up with a double card, I can deal with it. So here's 9. So the pips add up to the flowers, the bouquet. So this is a card of invitation, of blessings, of good things coming in. So it could be that as you've moved in this new direction, you're having conversations with people that are opening up new opportunities. This is a great time to consider them during all this new moon mutable energy. So maybe for your new moon intentions, rather than fixing on something that is very, very definite, what you want to do is to fix on something more of a concept. I'd like my new business to develop in a wonderful way. I'd like to meet new people who help me, rather than I would like to make X number of dollars by X day. In the mutable energies, that might be too specific. You want to make your sort of new moon intentions a little open-ended. So if we add these here, we end up with 53, that's 55, that's 65, which makes 11, and 11 is the whip. So let me get that one out. So fortunately, I didn't have to go into my second deck because I'm already worried how I'm going to make the way with this. Ooh, there's my clouds of the dark. There we go. Here's my whip. Now, if it was one of these hidden cards, I wouldn't have found it in the deck. That's another reason why it's nice to use another deck for this. But I read these. So the whip can be a card of repetitive patterns. It can be a card where things are hurting you because it's just over and over and over again. And I think that what's happening here is we have this commitment and we have this new activity. The gift of this direction is it's going to allow you, with the moon is the whip, to see the repetitive activities and to not make them a part of your new gig, whatever that is, whether it's a new relationship, new job, new vocation, new enterprise. You are really going to see with the moon, and Jupiter in Virgo is going to help you see practically the ways in which you have this repetitive energy which you bring. The whip can also be physical things, physical exercise. It isn't always negative things, but I believe the moon is going to make that obvious, and you're going to see, is this something I want to keep and make a part of my new pattern, or is this something that I don't want to deal with anymore? And possibly conversations are going to be a part of that. These two cards represent, for me, this is where my sort of 5 cards come in. This is something to avoid, and this is something to move towards. I'm not really reading them in this line, but I am reading these in a line where we're really talking about the direction, and the gift of your direction is going to expose any repetitive patterns or harmful patterns. And that's great because, as I said, this mutable energy means you can change it, and you can change it easily. Any little course corrections you need to make aren't going to feel like a real big deal now. So this was something to avoid. Ship. Okay, so ship would be movement, obviously, commerce, transportation, but also because it's 9th house, which is tied to Sagittarius, which is where Saturn is. This is sort of big moves. This is about course correcting in smaller ways. This isn't about making big things. Like, let's say you suddenly realize that as you're going into this new phase, you're repeating something from the past, and you think, well, that's it. I'm a failure. I'm not going to make it. Don't make any huge moves like that. Don't make any huge decisions like that. Keep moving in the direction you're moving, and allow yourself to adjust and to improve as you go. Improve as you go is really sort of the watchword here. Not, I've made a horrible mistake, I've done it all wrong. No, don't get dramatic like that. I think that's what I'm reading here. So here's the thing to go for. Aha. Okay. So here is the fox. Well, what do we know about the fox? A lot of people see the fox as a negative card at times. I think it's very wonderful. The fox is Pluto. The fox is a very powerful card, a very clever card, and a very agile card. It is one of the most agile cards. It is a card about adaptation, strategy, movement. So this is saying, instead of changing your destination, right, turning the ship around, that's it, I've screwed up, it's not working. I got feedback from somebody, they don't like the new thing I'm doing. A family member is disagreeing with me. My lover is not so sure this is going to work, and I'm saying, that's it, I'm giving up. No, the fox says you're going to adapt. You're going to adapt. You're going to figure it out. You're going to move forward, and you're going to move forward constructively. As long as you keep your anxiety and your reaction maybe a little bit quieter, just don't feel like you need to make some big reaction if you start hearing feedback, if that makes any sense. So just to reinforce that, or to see if we get more clarity, I pulled an oracle card from the Sacred Rebels. Let's see what this is. I love it. Dream a beautiful dream. This really reinforces, this is card 19. I hope this is in focus. There we go. This really reinforces the importance of keeping your mind on your dream. You made a commitment to something because you loved it, because it represented a true passion of yours. Don't forget that. Don't forget that's what you wanted, especially when there are challenges as you move forwards. Don't forget it. Don't forget what you love, and just adjust as you go. Here is the tarot card I pulled. Okay, La Force. This is the Strength card, and it's in reverse. So this just says that instead of feeling that inner strength, you may be doubting your inner strength. You may be doubting that you have the strength and the power to succeed, but you do. You do. Just make small movements, be responsive, have the conversations you need to have, and keep improving as you go. Before you know it, you are going to have made wonderful, amazing, successful progress. Rock on.